importantly, we welcome our family members, survivors, first responders, law enforcement, and friends of those who were killed, those who survived, and those changed forever on April 19th, 1995. Please join me in welcoming all of our special guests. As we have done each year for the past 30 years, we gather as a community on April 19th to remember, to learn from what happened, and to grow and heal. This is a time of reflection. Those we honor today serve as our inspiration as to why it is vital we continue teaching the world our story. When we remember, we honor those impacted. When we remember, we can strive to prevent these acts of violence from happening again. With any tragedy, we strive to make meaning out of what happened in our lives and to weave it into our futures. We recognize that April 19th may bring up difficult thoughts and emotions, yet it is by acknowledging these that we continue to heal and move forward. The memorial and activities related to the bombing remind us of what violence can do, and it also reminds us of the incredible acts of so many to help. Visitors to the memorial and museum often leave with a better understanding. Peace, courage, and hope are often words that visitors use after leaving the memorial grounds and exiting the museum. They are changed, and they can bring this change forward in their lives. What started with day one in November, and for each of the last 168 days, we have honored those who were killed, those who survived, and those changed forever on every television station in Oklahoma, newspapers, billboards, and online. Thanks to our friends in the media for sharing this every day. We have also held monthly Better Conversations on topics that are worthy of discussion to help us find common ground on our sacred ground. We have held 3 mental health workshops for our key stakeholders and found ways to get people back to our site that have not been willing to come before. We are proud of that progress. We brought physicians and dentists who were so critical in the hours and days following the bombing and saluted their incredible work. Donna Bucella, who worked under Janet Reno in 1995, came back to keynote the Committee of 100, a group that honors first responders. She spent time with our staff and working with our archives, and she spent time at the OCU Law School teaching new lawyers lessons learned. Then just this week, we partnered with the University of Oklahoma on a teach-in where this idea that started with the deans would have their colleges of medicine, music, architecture, journalism, and law students reflecting on the past and hearing from people involved as they teach this story to the next generation. These are all valuable lessons that we cannot take for granted. OU also planted 3 survivor trees on their campuses this week to remember. We are grateful so many have stepped up with acts of service, honor, and kindness, so symbolic of what we saw in the Oklahoma Standard 30 years ago. We worked very hard to preserve this story, which is why we are humbled by the recent announcement that the Oklahoma City National Memorial Museum has officially been accredited for the 3rd time by the American Alliance of Museums. Of the 33,000 museums in the United States, only 1,116 are currently accredited. This certification signifies our ongoing commitment to excellence in preserving history, providing educational experiences, and maintaining the highest standards of stewardship. A special thanks to a small but mighty staff that collectively keep this going. It is truly an honor to work with each of them. Marilyn Jackson, President and CEO of the American Alliance of Museums, says, 30 years later, the memorial's mission remains relevant. They reach a wide variety of learners with varied, innovative, and engaging programming while also looking to the future, understanding that those directly touched by the 1995 bombing event will continue to decline. Its approach to sharing individual stories, the power of resilience, and commitment to facilitating difficult conversations serve as a model of excellence in our field. Preserving this story is critical to our core mission. Earlier this month, as part of the 30th year, the memorial was honored to work with downtown OKC and the City of Oklahoma City in creating the new entry point gateway to the memorial on 6th Street off I-235 in Harrison, at the threshold to one of the most significant sites in our nation's history. This gateway reflects the weight of the journey and shapes emotions. As visitors exit, they see a bold and bronze OKC, symbolic of our gates of time. And then as they pass under the railroad overpass, they see the words, "Be the light," that will serve as a reminder of how this city has risen from tragedy, carrying on your message of resilience to the world. Our Memorial Conscious Committee, composed of family members, survivors, and first responders, has been with us on every step, and we work together to ensure that we are always upholding the memorial mission throughout all of our work. We thank our Conscious Committee for their service and welcome those today. April 19th, 1995 started like any other day. Oklahoma City Mayor Ron Norick had just concluded the city's annual Mayor's Prayer Breakfast downtown at the Myriad Convention Center when the attack occurred. The extraordinary leadership of Mayor Norick led us through our darkest days. It was his appointment of a 350-member memorial task force just a few months after the bombing that led us through the memorialization process and the creation of our Oklahoma City National Memorial Museum. As a testament to his strong leadership, we are honored to have Mayor Norick back to read the memorial mission statement.
Good morning. Good morning. We welcome you here today to remember those who were killed, those that survived, and those changed forever. May all who leave here know the impact of violence. May this memorial offer comfort, strength, peace, hope, and serenity. Please join me in 168 seconds of silence.
Thank you. In the days that followed the bombing, Governor Keating and First Lady Kathy Keating helped show the world that the community of Oklahoma City put the heart in the nation's heartland. The Keatings knew immediately that much was to be done. Only 100 days into office, he and his wife Kathy led us through the darkest days, organized the prayer service, worked to save the Murrah art out of the building, raised money for scholarships for children who lost a parent, and created a plan to care for many. We have been blessed by great leadership, and it was no accident that Governor Frank Keating and First Lady Kathy Keating were there to lead us. Please help me welcome back former Governor Frank Keating.
Thank you very much, Susan, and thank all of you for being here to celebrate lives, to celebrate security, to celebrate commitment and love of others, many of whom we never knew and we don't know. There's a parable of a man who looked back on his life and saw it as an endless series of footprints in the sand. At times there were two sets of footprints side by side, and he remembered these times as happy times. At others there was but one set of prints, the times of sadness and pain. He confronted God and asked him why he had ceased to walk beside him when he most needed him and most needed his support. Why, he wondered, had God abandoned him? And God answered, "But my son, those were the times I was carrying you." He carries us today, cup gently in his hands. April 19th, 1995 was a day of horror and tragedy. It was unbelievable for those of us who were here and there to comprehend that the devil himself walks the earth and murdered 168 of our neighbors and friends, wounded 700 of our neighbors and friends, caused damage or destruction to 320 buildings, marred the face, scratched the face, bloodied the face of the capital city of Oklahoma. It was incomprehensible that we could see and understand what was occurring. And we wondered, how were we all going to stay together without mutual suspicion and mistrust, and how could we do that? But we did. The Renaissance of Oklahoma, and by the way, I checked this morning, how long is a generation? A generation is 25 to 30 years. And why is it a generation? Because you grow up, you get married, you have children, it's another generation. And think of the blessings we have with all these young people at our schools. I was chairman of the Board of Regents of OU for a while, and it's really amazing to me that a significant minority of the students that are coming to OU are from Texas, of all places. And what is significant to me is that people who are graduating from that university are largely staying here. The contrast between then and now is very dramatic. God continues to hold us in his hands. I have someone very special to introduce to give our invocation. It was prayer that sustained us after the bombing. This entire area became a holy place. Many have said there was more prayer for this 8-block area of Oklahoma City than there was for the entire world during that time. Leading the way for so many chaplains who came here to help in our darkest hour was Oklahoma City Fire Department Chaplain Teddy Wilson, who is here to provide our invocation. His prayer lifts to heaven. Ladies and gentlemen, Chaplain Wilson.
It was indeed an uplifting thing to see at 2, 3 in the morning Frank and Kathy Keating on the site. 2 in the afternoon. They were here often, and every time we saw them, it was a privilege and an uplifting spirit. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Kathy. I'm going to take a point of privilege, and I want to thank Carrie Watkins. She hates this. Carrie and her people, and Carrie in the last 29, 30 years, your leadership, your heart is shown in our memorial and in our museum and in everything that you do, extending to congregations, to communities, to folks who are in need. Thank you. I'm asking you, all of you, today, we bathe this site in prayer. It's untold how many prayers were made. But I'm asking you today, all of you, to join me in your tradition as we pray. Bless the Lord, O my soul. Bless his holy name. 30 years ago, Lord, was truly a dark and evil day. But you, O God, were there to usher into your presence all of our beloved victims. We asked on that day just to give us as many survivors as possible. We remember today the grieving families and friends of those you received the moment they took their last breath here on earth and their first breath in your arms. From the oldest adult to the children to the unborn babies who only knew the warmth and love of their mother's womb until you, O Father, received them unto yourself. We remember our survivors who were in fact the very first rescues. In spite of their injuries, they helped their co-workers and friends and children on this hallowed ground. Likewise, all those who helped in the structures surrounding the Murrah Building, the YMCA, the Kirkpatrick Hotel, the Journal Record Building, the Athena Building, many of the buildings around us where blood was shed. Father, so many physical and emotional injuries have been endured over these last 30 years. Dana Bradley was our last survivor on that dark day. She, like so many others, are still recovering today. One of her rescuers, Fire Chief Keith Bryan, 10 years later, saved my life. He offered me part of his liver one day, which was not to be until his untimely murder. His family honored his desire to save my life. And God, you gifted me his organ. He saved me and 2 others with his kidneys. Even in death, he was saving lives. Father, a true friend and a true hero. We remember all the rescuers, the firefighters, the law enforcement officers, the National Guard, other military personnel, civilians from every walk of life who rushed in to bear up in our arms, extricating all that we could and getting them to the definitive care that they needed. The Oklahoma Standard was on full display that day, which brought light into the darkness. This standard, in all reality, is your standard, O Lord. To love one another as you have loved us. Nurse Rebecca Anderson rushed in to apply her skills and fulfill her calling, to bind up the wounded and comfort the injured. She gave her life her full measure of devotion, as Abraham Lincoln puts it, honoring her calling that dark day. There is no greater love than this, than a man or a woman who lays down his life for his friend. When the hope of rescue was dashed, the technical term of recovery was hard to accept. You, O Father, reframed that term for us into a picture of restoration. Our job changed to restoring each victim back to the awaiting families as best as we could, so that they could put a period at the end of their dark days and begin their years of light. We pray for all who participated in helping the victims' family members, our survivors, our rescuers, our medical personnel, our counselors, our legal teams, investigators, all who have poured so much of themselves into these years of light. I ask for your blessing from you, O Father, today. Bless us with another measure of your healing today. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget none of his benefits. For it's in my precious Lord's name that I pray, who loved me and gave himself for me. Amen.
Thank you, Mayor Norick, Governor Keating, and Chaplain Wilson. During this Lenten and Easter season, and for many who just finished Passover and Ramadan last week, the Heartland Chapel outside these doors and across the street from the memorial was rededicated in honor of the 30th anniversary of the bombing. This open-air chapel stands as a symbol of peace and unity. It was created through a rare interfaith effort as a gift to First Church in 1995. The Jewish Federation of Greater Oklahoma City and America and the Islamic Society of Greater Oklahoma City helped build it as the first structure rebuilt. The rededication, where the memorial joined all three faiths in contributing to its restoration, invites us to reflect on the power of shared healing and the spirit that brought people together after the bombing. Our first responders played a vital role on this day 30 years ago and in the days and months following the bombing. We are honored they are part of the ceremony today. The relationship that has developed over the years between our fire and police departments is a relationship you do not see in every city and had a lot to do with the coordinated response on April 19, 1995. Please stand for the presentation of colors by the United States Secret Service Uniform Division Honor Guard and the Combined Honor Guard from the Oklahoma City Police and Fire Departments and IMSA. The singing of our national anthem will be performed by Gospel Music Association Dove and the voice winner, Jordan Smith.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Please be seated. Thank you to the Combined Honor Guard, and thank you, Jordan, for your beautiful performance of our Star-Spangled Banner. Our outdoor symbolic memorial captures and preserves forever the place and events that changed the world, while the museum educates visitors every day about the facts of the story. Our city has not just survived, it has become a symbol of hope to the world. Just recently, memorial representatives from New York City, France, Spain, and Norway gathered here to reflect on what Oklahoma City has shared with them through our memorialization process and our city's ability to rebuild, all while still remembering. That is in part due to the leadership of 4 mayors since 1995. Each has led with a purpose of unity born out of our city's response to the attack 30 years ago. This city's renaissance continues under the leadership of Mayor David Holt, unifying our city as one OKC. With nearly 500,000 people visiting the Memorial Museum each year, we are grateful for the partnership we have had with the City of Oklahoma City from day one. Mayor David Holt.
Well, thank you, Dr. Chambers and your board. Thank you, Carrie Watkins and your team. Thank you to everyone gathered here today and to everyone who has supported this remembrance. I begin, as I do every year, by thanking our first responders, our own here in Oklahoma City, and those who came to our aid from around the country. And I again express the deepest condolences of the people of Oklahoma City to those who lost a loved one on April 19th, 1995. Matthew 6:34 states, "Therefore do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own." Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time. That was Macbeth. "Tomorrow is another day," said Scarlett O'Hara in the very last line of The Wind. Spoiler alert. "Don't stop thinking about tomorrow," sang Fleetwood Mac in a song adopted by a young Arkansas governor as his de facto campaign theme when he ran for president in 1992. "We will stand with you for as many tomorrows as it takes," said President Clinton 3 years later, standing in Oklahoma City 4 days after 168 of our family, friends, and neighbors were murdered by a fellow American. We humans talk a lot about tomorrow. Macbeth was wary of tomorrow. The Bible is quite concerned that we worry too much about tomorrow. But I would argue that most of the time, tomorrow represents hope. It did for Scarlett O'Hara and Fleetwood Mac. Tomorrow is a blank canvas. And though no one is promised tomorrow, we each depend on it, and we hold it close, like a lottery ticket. Tomorrow may bring us a better day than today. On some days, it feels like tomorrow almost has to be better than today. On April 19th, 1995, on one level, the people of Oklahoma City certainly had to feel that way. How could tomorrow not be better than today? But on another level, we all knew the sorrows of April 19th would still join us tomorrow. Hundreds of families knew there was someone who was going to be just as gone tomorrow as they were today. Only one person has ever come back, and Christians will mark that event tomorrow. There have been nearly 11,000 tomorrows since the bomb went off. As a city, those tomorrows have in fact brought all the hope and promise we could ever have imagined. One day of darkness has unquestionably been followed by 30 years of light here in Oklahoma City. We have invested billions of dollars into our quality of life, often fueled by unifying community choices that transcended partisanship or other things that might divide us. We are drawing new residents from around the country. We're now America's 20th largest city. Our economy is diversified, our low unemployment rate is on a record streak, and new developments open every month. We have a global identity that's built on a foundation of success and or basketball, but definitely not a bombing. Tomorrow, we will launch our thunder into what we hope is a historic NBA playoff run. And in 3 years, we will welcome people from around the world as we stage 7 events of the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. The day after tomorrow, our city will turn 136 years old. And these last 30 years have unquestionably represented our city's golden age. No one who knows and loves Oklahoma City would dispute that statement. On the other hand, for those who lost so much on April 19th, 1995, for those who survived, and for those changed forever, those 11,000 tomorrows have been a mixed bag. Even as tomorrow has brought weddings and births, graduations and success, there has always been an empty chair, or a traumatic memory, or a dark realization of the evil that humans can do. For each of you, I hope this community has done and will continue to do all that it can. I think I use an aspirational word like hope there because to us, just standing with you can feel a bit inadequate. We want to return your loved one. We want to make your pain go away. But though we can't, I know each of us believes that our role in the Oklahoma Standard is to do all we can. And so I stand here as your mayor and pledge that no priority in this city will ever stand between us and that commitment to you and your family who lost so much. It was a commitment originally made by President Clinton, but we all co-sign. Tomorrow is often a symbol of hope, but it can also be a word of commitment, a reflection that a promise will endure into the future. We all recommit on this 30th anniversary that we will stand with you for as many tomorrows as it takes. Today, I also want to speak of a related commitment that will outlive all milestones and all of us. This is my 8th address to this gathering. Over 8 addresses, I have spoken in favor of love, empathy, truth, and better conversations. I have asked us to embrace pluralism, to look past things that can be used to divide us, like political opinions or ethnicities or religion, and asked us to instead consider the infinite ways in which we are alike. I've spoken against dehumanization and words of division, and I've asked us to gauge into that tranquil, reflecting pool across the street and consider whether the person that you see is living up to the Oklahoma Standard in their own words and social media posts and actions. I've stated that this obligation starts with us as citizens of Oklahoma City, but that it should apply to everyone in this entire country, especially and including elected officials and all those in the public eye. I have also spoken repeatedly these last 8 years about the passage of time. It's on my mind today because today is a milestone in the measurement of time. It is the 30th anniversary of the bombing. Because of that milestone, President Clinton is in Oklahoma City this weekend. He met with families and rescue workers last night and visited the memorial, keeping a commitment as he has for 30 years. We thank him on behalf of the people of Oklahoma City for that commitment. We share a friendship and a bond with President Clinton that transcends politics, and we will never forget that he kept his word. Thank you as well to Governor Keating, Mayor Norick, Kerry Watkins, and all the people who have kept this city's commitment to those who needed support these past 30 years. 30 years is an inflection point, no doubt. 10 years is the blink of an eye. 20 years is still less than a generation, but 30 years hits different. Many of us now have to admit there are more yesterdays for us than there are tomorrows. Perhaps that reality reminds us that in addition to the obligation I spoke of that we have to the families most directly affected, we also have another related obligation in Oklahoma City. And this obligation is timeless and it will outlive us. And that is the obligation to speak and act against the forces that created the environment for this act of evil, and really for all acts of evil across human history. Even when the personal remembrances have faded, the people of this city will still have a scar in our downtown, a place where people used to go to work, serving their neighbors. The site of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building is now peaceful and shaded by tall, beautiful trees. But the jagged edges of concrete that surround it remind us that it is a scar, a symbol of what humans can do to each other when they do not love each other, when they do not seek to understand each other, when they fail to acknowledge our shared humanity, when they dehumanize each other, when they entertain conspiracy theories, when they are willing to act outside of peaceful democratic processes, even to commit violence, and when they let extremism rot their brains to the point where even a child is a soldier in their imagined war. Humans are highly unlikely to ever fully shed our capacity for evil, but evil can be answered and kept at bay. Evil must be answered. And the residents of this city must always be the protectors of a commitment to do so. Perhaps today on this 30th anniversary, like a relay runner in one of our memorial marathons, we are beginning to pass the baton of that commitment. And that baton of commitment will be kept by P.J. Allen, Rebecca and Brandon Denny, Joseph Webb, Nakia McLeod, and Chris Wynn, the 6 children who survived the bombing. It will be kept by Clint Seidel, Krista Dahl, Dina Abulon, Hillary Johnson, Deontay Thomas, and the 249 children who lost one or both parents that day. Those are the youngest among us who bore direct witness. But this commitment will also be kept by those who are too young to have borne witness. It will be carried by the 38 members of the Memorial Team Board. It will be kept by my kids, George and Maggie, who are now almost the age I was when the bombing happened. They host a video about the bombing for middle school kids you can find on YouTube. It will be kept by your kids and your grandkids. It will be kept by the people who will stand here on the 60th anniversary and the 90th anniversary, when everyone here will turn towards a wheelchair on stage and ask the last remaining survivor what it was like. Even then, when tens of thousands of tomorrows will have passed, this commitment by the people of Oklahoma City to stand against evil must endure. I thank each of you and those who will follow for your commitment, for it will require all the tomorrows that lie ahead. Thank you.
Mayor Holt, thank you always for your strong words today. From this past September and through December of this year, the Journey of Hope Tour is visiting all 77 counties. This program by the Memorial and Museum is inspiring students, individuals, and families throughout the state to embody the Oklahoma Standard and to learn the story of April 19th. Funded through the Oklahoma Legislature and a strong partnership with the Governor and the State of Oklahoma Department of Agriculture playing a key role, we thank our Governor for supporting our Journey of Hope Tour to all 77 counties that carries the 30th anniversary message, a day of darkness, years of light. Representing our state, Governor Kevin Stitt.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chambers, and thank you for your words, Mayor. We gather here today with heavy hearts and unwavering gratitude as we mark the 30th anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing, an act of unimaginable violence that changed our city, our state, and our nation forever. On April 19th, 1995, at 9:02 a.m., 168 innocent lives were taken from us. Among them were children, government workers, veterans, mothers, fathers, and friends. But amid that heartbreak, something powerful emerged. In the smoke and rubble, in the chaos and sorrow, we saw the very best of Oklahoma. We saw helpers, people who didn't wait to be asked, who ran towards danger, who gave without hesitation. Firefighters, police officers, EMTs, nurses, clergy, and everyday citizens answered the call. People like Terrence Yeekey and Jim Ramsey of the Oklahoma City Police Department and John Hanson of the Oklahoma City Fire Department, they ran into the rubble to save their fellow Oklahomans. Dr. William Fabry and Debbie Atterby, they worked tirelessly to treat the wounded. Dozens of pastors and chaplains showed up and prayed with the grieving in the hours and the days after the tragedy. Oklahomans gave blood. They opened their homes. They offered their strength. This spirit of compassion and courage came to be known as the Oklahoma Standard, a commitment to service, honor, and kindness that has shaped who we are as a people. And as Scripture reminds us in Galatians 6:2, carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. This is exactly what Oklahomans did on that day and every day since. We honor the heroes of April 19th. We also honor those who continue to help, those who stayed, the mental health counselors, the teachers and the pastors, the city workers and all the volunteers. Those who carried the burdens of that day quietly, faithfully, year after year. And to the families, to the survivors, the children who grew up without a parent, to the spouses who rebuilt life in shadows of loss. You are the embodiment of resilience. You have turned pain into purpose and sorrow into strength. The Oklahoma City National Memorial stands as a tribute to those who lost, those we lost, but also to those who helped. It reminds us not only of the horror of that morning, but of the hope that followed. As Romans 12:21 says, do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. Oklahoma did just that. We chose hope over hate, unity over fear, compassion over chaos. We also remember that the helpers didn't stop in 1995. The Oklahoma Standard continues every time a neighbor steps up, every time a tragedy is met with open arms, every time we choose kindness over indifference. To the younger Oklahomans here today, you may not remember that morning, but you live in a state forever shaped by it. You are the next stewards of the Oklahoma Standard. So today, let us pause and reflect, not only on what we lost, but on what we built in the wake of tragedy. Let us recommit ourselves to helping others, to serving without seeking recognition, to carry one another's burdens, and to living with the same compassion that defined April 19th, 1995. To the first responders, the families, the survivors, and the citizens who showed us the power of love in the face of evil, we thank you. We honor you. May we never forget the 168 lives lost. May we never forget the children. And may we never forget the light that broke through the darkness on that day. May God bless their memory. May God bless all who continue to serve. And may God bless the great state of Oklahoma. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Governor Stitt. Last week, United States Senator James Lankford and U.S. Congresswoman Stephanie Bice hosted a commemorative survivor tree dedication on the United States Capitol grounds. Joined by family members, survivors, and leaders from the memorial and the Oklahoma congressional delegation, a sapling from the survivor tree was planted. The location of this tree serves as a place for every American to reflect and remember the impact of April 19, 1995. The survivor tree, a living American elm, stands as a symbol of strength, healing, and the enduring Oklahoma standard. Speaking on behalf of our nation is United States Senator James Lankford.
Many of you got up very, very early this morning to be able to get here, stood in line in the cold rain, because we are determined not to forget. Many of you are the living legacy of those that we lost. So you gather every year to remember. Some of you bear the scars because you are a survivor, and you cannot forget from day to day. And there are many first responders that are here that when they return to this day, they remember again the days and days that they spent serving. There's very likely, as there usually is, someone that's a rescue worker that came here that is the first time that you have returned. We will remember with you today, and we're determined to do that. This past week, I was visiting with a staff member who said to me that not only was she not alive when the bombing happened, her parents weren't even married yet. Yes, that made me feel old. But it was also a reminder again of the importance of us gathering together to make sure that there is no generation that rises up that does not remember, that we continue to remind each other that we have learned the lessons of hatred, of anger, of hope, of love, of sacrifice, of gratitude, and of resilience. And we need to pass those lessons on to the next generation and make sure that they learn the lessons of history. The nation was shocked 30 years ago today when we saw the devastation and the loss. We lost children and neighbors, and we lost federal employees that were just sitting at their desk serving their fellow Americans on a Wednesday morning. We asked why. We wondered who we had become, and we found practical ways to serve people as the flags went to half-mast. Law enforcement and first responders and volunteers by the thousands came out that day. We lose track of this, but the FBI conducted more than 28,000 interviews, followed 43,000 investigative leads, and amassed 3.5 tons of evidence to be able to prosecute that case. They reviewed nearly 1 billion pieces of information. We're still grateful to all those who have served in so many ways. We're even grateful to the law enforcement that's literally standing in the rain outside this building to continue to be able to keep us safe here in this place. So we gather to remember. Thousands of years ago, the children of Israel, they left out of slavery and captivity, and they crossed over the Jordan River. And when they crossed over the Jordan, God instructed them with these words. This is from Joshua chapter 4. He said, in the future, when your children ask you, what do these stones mean? Because they gathered stones and put them on the side of the river after they crossed. And he said, what do these stones mean? Tell your children that the flow of the Jordan was cut off before the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord. When it crossed the Jordan, the waters of the Jordan were cut off. These stones are to be a memorial to the people of Israel forever. Weeks ago, as Susan mentioned, or just last week, I guess now, when we planted the sapling of the survivor tree on the Capitol lawn, it was very intentional. It's on the west side of the Capitol, directly next to a path. There's a plaque that's right there next to it. On that plaque, it reminds people of why that tree is there. It's surrounded by 200-year-old trees there on the Capitol lawn. And in the centuries to come, that plaque will remain And that sapling will grow onto a beautiful tree that'll look like our survivor tree. And people for generations in the future will walk the west side of the Capitol and will reflect on what happened here, no matter what year they stop to look at it. And they will tell the story of out-of-control hatred and irrational acts against a government and against a people and against children. And it will remind us of what we're capable of, but it will also remind people of the people of Oklahoma and what we are capable of. As we love, as we forgive, as we set a tone for the rest of the nation, to say this is how we deal with issues where we disagree and resolve. Something we need as a nation. As we gather this exceptionally wet day before Easter, we'll tell today our children and people here why this memorial stands and what we have personally learned from this time period. I stood with some folks that had not been at the memorial just a few days ago at sunset, and I learned a new thing about the memorial even as I stood with them. I stood at the survivor tree around sundown and told them the story about that tree, and in the middle of the story, bats flew out of the tree, and I learned a new thing. There are bats that live in the survivor tree. Yes, I jumped. Let's set the example for the rest of the nation. Let's tell them our story again so that the nation doesn't forget. Let's teach the nation how to love and forgive. Let's remind each other of dark days in the past and how God walks with us through those dark days. Even in the valley of the shadow, God does not forget us, and we will not forget.
Thank you so much, Senator Lankford, for joining us to remember. Music played a vital role in our healing after the bombing and throughout these 30 years. When the memorial was dedicated on April 19, 2000, 25 years ago, the song titled Holy Ground was performed. This song conveys a sense of reverence and awe toward a sacred place, like this sacred ground we gather near today.
We are standing on holy ground, and I know that there are angels all around. Let us praise our God now. We are standing in His presence on holy ground. This is holy ground. We're standing on holy ground. For the Lord is here, and where He is holy. This is holy ground. We're standing on holy ground. we stand and sing this together today? We are standing on holy ground, and I know that there are angels all around. Let us praise our God now. Let us praise our God now. Let us praise. Let us praise our God now. We are standing in His presence on holy ground.
Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you, Jordan. After the bombing, President Bill Clinton offered the resources of the federal government while allowing our state and local officials to lead the rescue and recovery events. Never before had federal, state, and city governments worked together so seamlessly. We fly the city, state, and United States flags on the plaza overlooking the field of empty chairs and in front of the museum every day to honor this spirit of collaboration. We thank Mayor Norick, Governor Keating, and President Clinton for their clarity, their decisiveness, their courage, passion, and humility. Just as significant was the message the President provided and the presence that he and Mrs. Clinton brought to the memorial prayer service just days after the bombing. In his remarks, he promised that America would never forget, and he's kept that promise by marking his 8th visit to the memorial to honor the 168 who were killed and to thank those involved in the recovery efforts. The memorial was honored to take part in a panel of leaders at the Clinton Library last week regarding the events of April 19, 1995. President Clinton, you said, in 1995, for as many tomorrows as it takes, we will stand with you, and you have. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back our friend, President Bill Clinton.
Thank you very much. Thank you, please. I've had the best seat in the house. I've been watching on the monitor. I want to thank, first of all, Doctor, thank you for the introduction and for your wonderful work. And I had a nice visit with a pastor in the music room. And thank you, Mayor Mayor Holt and Governor Keating. Mayor Norris, Senator Langford, Governor Stitt, Chaplain Wilson, and Jordan Smith, thank you for singing one of my favorite hymns. The guy that wrote that hymn was the music director of a Pentecostal church in Louisiana, whose pastor was one of my best friends, and I love singing it. And it was sung at my mother's funeral. So this has been very moving for me, listening to all of you and remembering. 30 years ago, I thought I was going to have a very different day when I woke up. I went jogging with the winners of the Boston Marathon, giving me the illusion, and an illusion it was, that I was somehow pretty fit. And then I got back to the White House and the devastating news. That truck bomb, as you all know better than I, claimed 168 lives. 19 of them were little children in the building's daycare center. I always like to start with that when I talk to people, because a lot of times fanatic will tell you, I'm sorry, this, that, or the other thing had to happen, but you know, there has to be collateral damage sometimes to make a statement. I never have heard anybody say that who had to live with the damage. Most of the people who lost their jobs, their lives, were public servants, as we all know. They got amazing coverage after this happened about what they did every day as a matter of choice, showing up for work, to do business for the American people. They help veterans and farmers and the elderly and disabled. And they help to keep our country safe. One of the Secret Service agents, Al Witcher, who lost his life, was a member of my detail. And he left me. And he was very popular and very good at what he did. But he had a family. And he said, you know what, you travel too much. I want to be home more. And Oklahoma City would be a good place to raise my kids. All of us who knew him thought he was going on a much safer journey, which shows you how little any of us can know about what tomorrow will bring. That bombing profoundly shook the country and did more to all of you. But in the end, it brought out the best in America. First responders, doctors, nurses, construction workers from all across America put their own lives on hold and showed up here. My FEMA director, James Lee Witt, would call me daily and just give me, he said, this group showed up, that group showed up. He said, you can't believe it, they're just appearing. And I said, well, your job is to help make sure that the local people make full use of them. And we talked about how thrilling it was. And I still run into people all across this country traveling around who tell me they went to Oklahoma City and how grateful they are after all this time that they had the chance to do it. There were other things. A lot of donations came in. We all remember the drawings of school children that were featured for several years. The cards, the teddy bears, the pennies. Everybody found their way to say something that was humane and supportive. The domestic terrorists who did this awful thing believed that it would spark a nationwide upheaval against the American government. And would eventually destroy our government and our democracy and our way of life. Instead, you gave them, as the mayor said so eloquently, the Oklahoma Standard. You gave them service, honor, and kindness. I know over the last 30 years, you are probably managing your losses better, but I know the pain has never gone away. I know you still miss the people you lost. But by continuing to love them and honor them and working to rebuild your own lives and the lives of this community, you've gone a long way to redeem the lives they were not able to live. And just as important, you have given America a very great gift. Every year, you get together and reaffirm your model of how, despite all of our differences, in case you haven't noticed, we've got a few. But in spite of all of them, we can still find a way to move forward together with the Oklahoma Standard. Service, honor, kindness. Did it work? All you have to do is look around. I mean, the difference, just the physical difference in being in this city today and 30 years ago is breathtaking. But every time I'm here, I talk to people who serve in restaurants or work in whatever hotel I'm staying in, or just people, and I say, "You like living here?" And they all say yes. And they just feel like they're walking with a little spring in their step because they know they live in a place that they can be proud of. So I did my anecdotal poll last night and today, and you're still winning. I think this is important. Because in recent years, the country has grown more polarized. And on that awful day 30 years ago, you were the center of the polarization. now look what you've built, and yet we have these differences. And it seems to me, I listen to this a lot because I'm old and I can't run for anything anymore. I always kid, I'm almost as old as President Trump. but if you listen to a lot of what I read and hear today, it's like everybody's arguing about whose resentments matter most. Whose resentments are more valid? When is it okay to stretch the truth a little bit to increase your advantage? If our lives are going to be dominated by the effort to dominate people we disagree with, we're going to put the 250-year-old march toward a more perfect union at risk. None of us would ever get much done. Believe me, we've all got something to be mad about. Something legitimate to be mad about. You made a different decision. So, my advice to America today is that we were there for you when you needed us. America needs you, and America needs the Oklahoma Standard. And if we all lived by it, we'd be a lot better off. We would get a fairer economy, a more stable society. We would understand one another, and we wouldn't feel weak if we admitted we were wrong about something. It does you good every now and then to admit you're wrong. You know? I do. This church would be out of business if nobody ever did anything wrong. We're laughing, but you know it's true. And so I ask you to think about that. I think all the time about the breathtaking changes you made here because of how you decided to respond. And this is hard work. President Eisenhower, who I think was underrated for several years, said that he worried about whether democracy could last in America because it required in the end such concentration and discipline and the willingness not to do things as well as to do them. But when we come here, because you lost so much, you were able to feel what you could do to make it better, to make it different, to really build something instead of just keep tearing down. And you have done it, and it's breathtaking. And I came here today in part just to say to the rest of the country, look at this. This is what you get with service and honor and kindness put together. And you know, a lot of people use the phrase, more perfect union in speeches because it has a nice ring to it. And the founders pledged that they were getting organized to give us a more perfect union. But it's 18th century language. The modern meaning is, hey folks, let's face it, we are not perfect. And we are never going to be perfect. But we can always do better. And so we have to shed all the baggage that keeps us from doing better. That's what we owe 30 years later, the people who made the ultimate sacrifice in Oklahoma City. That's what we owe the families, the children, the grandchildren, the people who survived them. I wish I could live 30 more years to see what's going to happen. Because in spite of all this bellyaching you hear, we're the best positioned country in the world for the 21st century if we don't blow it. If we don't forget how you got from 30 years ago to today. And it is true that I still remember as if it were 30 minutes ago coming here with Hillary to that memorial service and saying, you have lost too much, but you have not lost everything. You have certainly not lost America, and we will be with you for as many tomorrows as it takes. I do think we kept that commitment. Lord knows we tried. But today, Oklahoma City, America needs you. I wish to goodness every American could just see life unfold here. Hear these stories. Listen, I love sitting backstage and listening to Frank Keating. I wondered if he missed his calling, if he should have been a preacher, but at the time he was a good Catholic boy and there wasn't a big space for him. Yeah. And some of you who were with us last night laughed when I told the story about how he beat my brains out in a student contest at Georgetown when we were both there. It's important not to forget that we all do our best to find our way through life. None of us will be right all the time. And here we are, the day before Easter. I want to say just one thing about this. In St. Paul's famous letter to the Corinthians, where he describes what love is, which is often read at marriages, weddings, wrongly, because the word for love is agape, which means love of your fellow human being. And we all memorize as kids, all of us who are Christians, now by faith, hope, and love, which was charity in the old editions of the Bible. But the greatest of these is love. How could love be even greater than faith? Because of the nature of human life. The end, I love this. It's my favorite. It's the only thing that I think every politician in the world of any religion would benefit from internalizing. Where St. Paul compares life on earth, fleeting though it is, with eternal afterlife with God. And he says, now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part. But then I will know even as I am known. And now abideth faith, hope, and love, these three. But the greatest of these is love. Why? Because we cannot have perfect knowledge. We have to wait to see things through the eyes of God. And like I said, that's what keeps the churches open and the chaplains busy. And thank God it does. But we have no idea, and I can't make this not a tragedy, we have no idea what all 168 of those people would have done with the rest of their lives. But we do know what they did that was good. We know the love that they generated, which was worthy. And you made a choice to live by what you call now the Oklahoma Standard. It is perfectly consistent with the commands of the Scripture. Perfectly appropriate for tomorrow being Easter. And perfectly fit to acknowledge 30 years of trying to do what people are supposed to do, which is to take whatever comes and make the best you can of it. I know of no other example that can compare to what you have done here. And I, as a citizen, am grateful for it. I'm glad I could be there to help a little bit. I love it in my old age when you still invite me back. Just know this. You needed your country then. I was a symbol of it, and so I'm grateful that you let me come back over and over again. But make no mistake about it, your country needs you now. We have all these assets, beginning with our people and our great institutions. Are we really going to put them at risk to prove we're always right and that our resentments are more important than somebody else's? I wish every American would get a copy of the Oklahoma Standard in the mail or on their cell phones tomorrow. I bet you it would have a terrific impact. Don't give up. We need you now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Please be seated.
Didn't I tell you I hear what you say? Never look back as you're walking away. Carry the music, the memories, and keep them inside you. Laugh every day. sadness behind you. Fight hard for love. We can never give enough. This is who I am inside. This is who I am. I'm not gonna hide. 'Cause the greatest risk we'll ever take is my blood. To stand in the light and be seen as we are. To stand in the light and be seen as we are. Right in the storms that come raging toward us, we die. Only a breath as we break through the surface with arms open wide. With arms open wide. This is who I am inside. This is who I am. I'm not gonna hide. 'Cause the greatest risk we'll ever take is my blood. To stay in the light and be seen as we are. To stay in the light and be seen as we are. Cause the greatest risk we'll ever take is my blood. To stay in the light and be seen as we are. Stay in the light and be seen as we are. Stay in the light and be seen as we are.
We come here to remember those at the Oklahoma Water Resources Board building. Trudy Jean Rigney. Robert N. Chipman. We remember those at the Athenaeum Building Job Corps. Catherine Elizabeth Ridley. Anita Christine Hightower. We remember rescue worker, my mother, Rebecca Needham Anderson. We remember those who were killed in the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building, U.S. Secret Service, 9th floor. Alan G. Witcher. Kathy Lynn Seidel. Linda G. McKinney. Mickey B. Maroney. Donald Ray Leonard. Cynthia L. Brown. We remember our friends and family with the Drug Enforcement Administration, 9th floor. Kenneth Glenn McCullough. Carrie Ann Lenz and baby Michael James Lenz III. Rona Lynn Keener Chafee. Carol June Chip Fields. Shelley D. Bland.
We remember those who were killed with the Department of Housing and Urban Development, 8th floor. Clarence Eugene Wilson, Sr. Frances Fran Ann Williams. Michael D. Weaver. David Jack Walker. Jules A. Valdez. Leora Lee Sells. Lanny Lee David Scroggins. Antonio Tony C. Reyes. Dr. George Michael Howard, DVM. Susan Jane Farrell. Kimberly K. Clark. Donald Earl Burns Sr. David Neil Burkett. Peter R. Avellanosa. Ted L. Allen. We remember those who were killed with the Department of Housing and Urban Development, 7th floor. Joanne Wittenberg. John Carl Van S. III. John Thomas Stewart. Terry Smith Rees. My mother, Patricia Ann Nix. Betsy J. Beebe McGonnell. James A. McCarthy II.
We continue to remember those who were killed from the Department of Housing and Urban Development, 7th floor. Mary Leisure Renty. Teresa Lee Taylor Lauderdale. My mother, Ann Kreinberg. Thompson Eugene Jean Hodges, Jr. J. Colleen Giles. Linda Louise Florence. Judy J. Fro Fisher. Castine Brooks Hearn Devereaux. Diana Lynn Day. Kim R. Cousins. Andrea Yvette Blanton. Diane E. Hollingsworth Althouse. We remember our friends and family with the Department of Housing and Urban Development, 5th floor. Paul Gregory Beatty Brocksterman. We remember our friends of the United States Marine Corps, 6th floor. Captain Randolph A. Guzman, USMC. Sergeant Benjamin Lorenzo Davis, USMC. We remember those with the U.S. Customs, 5th floor. Claude Arthur Medeiros, SSA. Paul D. Ice, Senior Special Agent. We remember our friends and family with the Department of Agriculture, 5th floor. Rita Bender Long. Carol Sue Khalil. Doris Adele Higginbottom. Richard Dick Cummins. Dr. Margaret L. Peggy Clark. James E. Bowles. Olin Burl Bloomer.
We remember those with the U.S. Army Recruiting Battalion, 4th Floor. Wanda Lee Watkins. Kayla Marie Titsworth. Dolores D. Stratton. Master Sergeant Victoria Vicky L. Son. John C. Moss III. Peggy Louise Holland. Karen Gis Carr. Sergeant First Class Lola Bolden, U.S. Army. We remember our friends and family with Department of Transportation, Federal Highway, 4th Floor. John A. Youngblood. Johnny Allen Wade. My uncle, Rick L. Tomlin.
My sister, Michelle A. Kreinberg Reeder.
Jerry Lee Parker. Renata Ann Newberry Woodbridge. James K. Martin. Larry James Jones. Michael Carrillo. Mark Allen Bolte. Lucio Alamon Jr.
We remember our friends and family with the Federal Employees Credit Union, 3rd Floor. Teresa Joe Mathis Wharton. Virginia M. Thompson. Victoria Jeanette Texter. Karen Howell Shepard. Sonia Lynn Sanders. Christy Rosas. Claudine Ritter. Jill Diane Randolph. Frankie Ann Merrill. My sister, Claudette Duke Meek. Kathy Cagle Linan. Valerie Joe Kelch. Alvin J. Justice. Christy Yolanda Jenkins. Robin Ann Huff and baby Amber Denise Huff. Linda Colleen Housley. Sheila R. Giger Driver, and baby Gregory N. Driver II. Jamie Fikowski Ginzer. Kathy A. Finley. Kimberly Ruth Burgess. Woodrow Clifford Woody Brady.
We remember our friends and family with the Defense Security Service, 3rd floor. Robert G. Westbury. Larry L. Turner. Norma Jean Johnson. Peter L. DeMaster. Harley Richard Cottingham. We remember our visitor on the 2nd floor, Scott D. Williams. We remember our friends and family from the America's Kids Child Development Center, 2nd floor, Colton Wade Smith. Chase Dalton Smith. Dominique Reve Johnson London. Blake Ryan Kennedy. Wanda Lee Howell.
We continue to remember our friends and family from the America's Kids Child Development Center, 2nd floor. Kevin Lee Gottschall II. Tevin DeAndre Garrett. Tyler Santoy Eves. Brenda Faye Daniels. J.C. Ray Coyne. Elijah S. Coverdale. Aaron M. Coverdale. Antonio and Sarah Cooper, Jr. Anthony Christopher Cooper II. Dana Leanne Cooper. Zachary Taylor Chavez. Danielle Nicole Bell. Miss Bailey Almond.
We remember our friends and family from the General Services Administration, 1st floor. Michael L. Loudenslager. Stephen Douglas Curry. We remember our friends and family from the Social Security Administration, 1st floor. Sharon Louise Chestnut. W. Stephen Williams. Julie Marie Welch. Robert N. Walker, Jr. Luther H. Trainer. LaRue A. Trainer. Michael George Thompson. My mother, Charlotte Andrea Lewis Thomas. Emilio Tapia. Eula Lee Mitchell. Derwin W. Miller. Cartney J. McRaven. Reverend Gilbert X. Martinez. Robert Lee Luster Jr. Aurelia Donna Luster.
We continue to remember our friends and family from the Social Security Administration first floor. My cousin, Airman First Class Lakeisha Richardson Levy. Raymond Lee Johnson. Jean Nutting Herbert. Dr. Charles E. Herbert. Thomas Lynn Hawthorne Sr., Ronald Vernon Harden Sr., Cheryl E. Hammond, Ethel L. Griffin, Margaret Betterton Goodson, Laura Jane Garrison, Mary Ann Fritzler, Don Fritzler, Ashley Megan Eccles, Catherine Louise Cregan, Gabrielle D. L. Bruce, Peachlyn Bradley, Carol Louise Bowers, Cassandra K. Booker, Oletta C. Biddy, Piola Battle, Calvin Battle, Sandra G. Sandy Avery, Pamela Cleveland Argo, Richard A. Allen, Teresa Antoinette Alexander.
Thank you to our readers who were forever changed by the events of April 19, 1995. Thank you, President Clinton, for joining us. Visitors to the memorial and museum often share a similar question. Are we safer today? The question is the title of a new exhibit unveiled earlier this month. We encourage you to spend time at the exhibit if you tour the museum today. Admission to the museum is free today thanks to Cox Community Day. It will open at 10:30 and remain open until 5 o'clock tonight. We invite all family members, survivors, and first responders to a reception inside the museum at 10:45 after you spend time at the chairs. Please enter through the 6th Street entrance. Saplings of the survivor tree are available following today's ceremony in front of the museum. We hope you'll join us next weekend for the 25th annual Run to Remember. to cheer on more than 25,000 runners who come here to help us celebrate life and run the Oklahoma City Memorial Marathon. Everything about this weekend is focused on those who were killed, those who survived, and those changed forever. It's up to each of us to share this ever-relevant story of April 19, 1995, and how we as a community found light following our darkest day. After today's ceremony, we're leaving these beautiful flowers to thank First Church for their hospitality and celebration of the Easter holiday. The Oklahoma City Fire, Pipes, and Drums will now lead you to the field of empty chairs. Thank you, all of you, for being part of this 30th anniversary remembrance ceremony. Now go be the light.